Renowned remote viewer, investigator, and author Margie K. presents Unexplained Phenomena, Hauntings, Cryptids, Portals, Alien and Interdimensional Contact, Shifts in Consciousness, and all things unexplained. And now, here is your host, Margie K.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening. And we've got some breaking news for you. To start off with, veteran investigative journalist George Knapp reports that congressional sources have informed him that the long-awaited presidential UFO file release could begin as early as tomorrow. This was put out yesterday. According to those briefed, the rollout is expected to start slowly and strategically, with limited disclosures at first rather than immediate bombshell revelations. I guess they want to get us prepared for what's coming. Still, if accurate, this marks a significant step towards the transparency many have been demanding for years. Researcher Jeremy Corbell stated, "More data means more leverage for those of us fighting for UFO transparency." And he is absolutely right. Whether this becomes historic disclosure or simply another measured release of information remains to be seen, but for the first time in a long time, the vault doors may finally be starting to open. And that was yesterday, but today they started doing the releases. And Bill, my producer, has downloaded every single file that has been released. So we will be doing a show on that in a short amount of time. So keep your eye out for that. Tonight, my guest is Jim Gray. Jim is the director of the Geneseo Museum, Geneseo City Museum in Geneseo, Kansas. There is an historical UFO display there by Dr. Janzen that is amazing. There are things there that you don't see anywhere else. And the story is extremely interesting. So I'm going to bring Cowboy Jim in. Welcome, Jim.
Howdy.
I am so glad you could make it, and we finally made this connection this evening. Hopefully you will stay in the studio.
I'm glad to be with you.
All right. Well, we have been in contact for quite some time, several years. You did your first UFO day in Kansas in 2022. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. And that particular time, we coincided with World UFO Day, so that was our kickoff to celebrating. And then after that, we called it Kansas UFO Day. So.
And somehow you managed to get your little town as the capital of the UFO capital of Kansas. How did that happen?
Well, so we had already begun the effort to it was early when we decided to do UFO Day, and around the state of Kansas, there are towns that they're the salt capital and air capital and different capitals. So we thought, well, I don't believe there's any UFO capitals in Kansas. And we went to our city council, and they agreed and had a proclamation and the whole business to it's the UFO capital of Kansas. Yes.
Your city has a lot of history having to do with UFOs. Can you give us a little background on Doc Janzen and how all of that got started?
Yes. Well, Doc was raised a country boy, actually, out north of Geneseo, and in 1951, he never married, and he moved into town with his parents. But I mean, he was like super genius. He went to the Moody Bible Institute, so he was a minister. He read and taught Braille. He did chiropractic, and then he did several different versions of that. And And then, so he would go around the started close by, but it pretty much ended up going around the state. He also learned ventriloquism while he was in Chicago with the Moody Bible Institute. So he had several these ventriloquist dummies made up to put on programs. Well, around in the library, the books that he purchased, he always wrote down when he bought something, and it's 1953 when he bought the first book about aliens and alien spacecraft. So we think that's kind of when his interest really kicked in. And what happened, as he, just like anything else that you do, as he got more interested in it, then he began to have connections with various people of similar thinking. And one of those was a mechanical arts teacher out of Nickerson, Kansas, who also a genius in his own right. That's the main part of our museum. He drew diagrams of the various alien spaceships, and there's the motherships, and there's the scout ships, and ships from Saturn, ships from Venus, and so what we got on here is UFO culture of the mid to 1950s to the early 1970s. That's the time span that we're focused on. And anyway, so we ended up with those really nice collection. But he was failing in health, and in 1975, he gave the museum to the city to operate, and he actually died just a year later then. But then, as you know, I can recall going to programs in Geneseo at the PTA, Parent Teachers Association. They had a program on space, and it turned out to be John Dean, and he was blowing the whole audience away, talking about people from Mars and Venus and Saturn, and really, he's up there in the air. He's really talking over their heads in more ways than one. But after Doc died, Doc displayed these things permanently. So he felt they were very important. But as he was no longer there, folks didn't want to talk about it, and it became Geneseo's secret. They still had the museum, and they still had his things, but they were tucked away and out of sight, and not talked about so much. So that's what led to us bringing it forward to the public, was that a former board kind of just really didn't handle it very well, and they thought the building was going to collapse, and all kinds of rumors were going around, and so they packed up a lot of his collection, and his collection is like thousands of photographs of Geneseo in the area, and they packed it all up and put it in tubs until the city said, well, we can't lose that museum, and they reorganized, and that's how I became involved with the new reorganization, 2018. So I all brought it back to life, and the first thing I wanted to do, because remembering as a kid what it looked like, I wanted to feature the collection that Doc had gathered, and we caught a lot of heck from the community to start with. It was still the thing that embarrassed the town, and it was our little secret, and they didn't want.
Really?
But that's changed.
It's not a secret anymore.
No, but I mean, it's changed too about their embarrassment of it. They're now, after so many years, and seeing the people that we bring to town, and seeing the so many people that come in with their own accounts, and they don't feel like they've been able to talk about it before.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a place where you can kind of just set yourself free just on UFO Day, and set yourself free and talk about it. Well, so the naysayers have dwindled and are pretty quiet, actually, and I think, and many of them have come around to support us. So we're doing good.
Well, that's great. Didn't Doc Janzen go around to a lot of these big conferences in the 50s and 60s around the U.S. and talk to and see a lot of the big names who were contactees?
Well, I would say he saw a lot of them. He didn't step into the limelight because I don't think he felt like he should. He wasn't an actual contactee, and so many of the people that were pushing forward with this were people like Buck Nelson out of Missouri, and John Dean didn't. Oh, John Dean was interesting. He didn't have a physical contact, but he claimed to have mental communication with the Space Brothers, that they called them. But Buck Nelson traveled.
Whoa. I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah, that was a phone call coming in. Buck Nelson,
okay,
all over the country, and was a pretty well-known figure for having been picked up again by the Space Brothers and taken to planets Mars and the Moon and Venus, and he wrote a little booklet about that. And he spoke in Chicago. He spoke in Washington, D.C. So he was around. And Doc was more of a documentation sort of guy. He was documenting all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where he came in. It's real interesting that he never spoke of having had a personal experience. And one of the young boys that lived down the street from him used to go and marvel over all the UFO collection, and one day he went in there quite a few times, just a little kid liked to go in there, and one day Doc told him, if you go out into a field on a really dark night, they might come to you.
Oh, sounds like he knew.
Sounds like he had done that, but he never ever said that he'd had contact.
He did talk about it. That's interesting that he was so interested in it, and he's collecting all this information, and yet not coming forward talking about his own experiences.
Yeah. Oh, he was knee deep into that UFO experience as far as the people, and Buck Nelson had a spacecraft convention every year from 1958 until about 63 maybe, and drew in all these enthusiasts from all over the country. It was really an interesting, again, an interesting account of Americana. It's in the days when you remember the driving down the highways, and you had the roadside parks with a little picnic table, and you'd stop. You didn't have fast food places, and
Right.
so you've got these people that are kind of halfway camping on their way to the convention, and they bring their own uh, basket lunches, or he had a lady there that would make up chicken dinners and fry hamburgers for him. But and it was all outdoors. He had an outdoor stage, so we kind of tip our hat to that, mainly because we really don't have the space. But it's really nice to have it on our grounds outdoors beyond the museums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yours is a what I would call a quaint town and a fun outdoor festival.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot going on. This year it's going to be June 27th. And so tell us a little bit about what's going on during the day. What events?
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, we open up the museum at 9, and uh, it's been our experience. We get thousands of people that come to Geneseo that day, and we only get like 300-400 that actually sign the book and go through the museum. So uh, not so many come in and see those wonderful drawings from the 1950s, but they are so anyway, we open at 9, and then we begin with speakers at from 10 till maybe 4 in the afternoon, depending on how it all works out. You tell me you're coming.
I am, and also Nancy D'Souza, the state director for MUFON Kansas, will be
Yeah.
there as well.
And so we'll probably post you at 10 and her at 11, kind of get things good and rolling. It also starts off. Have you ever seen? There's a musician out of Wichita that goes by the name of Handpan Dan, and he plays this little. Have you seen a handpan?
I have. Yes,
they're an amazing little instrument.
they are.
It looks like a flying saucer, actually, and so he'll fill in with music before we start the speakers, and everyone enjoys that too. So
that'll be nice.
And it's interesting about speakers. Every year, I kind of wonder, well, what are we going to try to do this year? And I had a literature instructor out of Sterling College contact me, and he was here 2 years ago, and he would like to come speak. He said, I'm a member of the C.S. Lewis Center at the Sterling College, and Lewis wrote it's a trilogy of space, a space trilogy, that's what it's called. And it's 3 books on travel to Venus and Mars, and so he's going to come talk about that.
That sounds very interesting.
Very interesting.
That's new. I don't think I've seen him before.
I don't think he's ever reached out before. So, and then a young lady contacted us from KU, Lawrence, and she's getting a doctorate degree at Lawrence. She has worked for NASA and worked on the Mars rover project when they're searching for life on Mars. So she's going to talk about that side of things. So
that sounds interesting. Yeah,
we do.
Got some good speakers. Plus, you've got a parade happening. Who's going to be involved in that?
Well, we never really know till the last week or so. So I really tell you. We have some really unique entries into that parade, but
Yeah,
nobody.
I've saw some things at first and second years that I was there. This one, I can't remember the man who built it, but he built a UFO
Yeah,
craft. It's awesome.
have been trying to get him to come back. He's getting older in years, and I guess it's just quite a job just to get the thing here. He loads it up in a big tractor trailer, so to
Oh
carry
yeah,
highway. So yeah, it's
would have to. He should make that thing street legal and just drive it here.
there was a guy that was going out to Roswell. Was that last year? And he was driving a street legal one. He was pulled over in Missouri somewhere. Maybe he was using Route 66 because he was pulled over then in Oklahoma also. Made the news, and it looked like a little flying saucer that he was driving down.
Saw that.
He was headed to Roswell, so he should have come back through Geneseo. So
Should have. Yeah, you'll have to find out who that guy is. And you've got something very unique in front of the museum. Tell us about this.
well, there's some really nice connections that are going on here. The Day the Earth Stood Still was filmed in 1951. That's the year that Doc Janzen and his parents moved into the house. And it's just the classic of the old UFO movies. It's the go-to movie that you want to see. And we just thought, who's got a gort that people can touch and really get up close to? And so we had it built. It's a full 8 foot tall, just same size as the movie gort. And standing behind him, you can't see him too much in that picture. Behind me is a silhouette of Klaatu. He's holding his hand up in the classic image that you see of Klaatu coming to warn the Earth. And of course we some sort of enemy and almost get ourselves destroyed in the process. So Gort's there, and he's actually overlooking the we call him the guardian of the Roswell Compass. And
yeah, and when we're going to take a break in a minute here, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Roswell Compass, which is one of the most bizarre things I have ever heard of or seen. And how you found out about it was very interesting as well. Let's talk about where your little town is located in Kansas. Right here on this screen, you can see right in the center. I-70 is way above that. I-35 is way to the right. So really is in the middle of nowhere, but you can get there.
Yeah, if you're coming from the east, it's pretty easy to come on I-70 to the Ellsworth exit. Ellsworth is straight, and then that little diagonal that you see there drops down to Ellsworth, and then straight south to intersection that leads you to Geneseo. We're just 2 miles east of that intersection. So yeah, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere and the heart of everywhere.
Indeed. And you sent this to me. This is something new.
Yeah. No, you never know what kind of influence you're going to have on visitors. And fellow was in the museum with his wife's, mother was returning. She was from Geneseo and living out in, I believe it was Oregon. And they came back to Geneseo and visited the museum.
And he is a comic book writer.
He just had this natural come and take between them and give and take, and they go on their way, and that was a nice day. And next thing we know, he was so impressed with all of the Buck Nelson information that we had that he came up with his own little comic book on the life of Buck, on the experience of Buck Nelson with his Space Brothers. And interesting little booklet, yeah. Little
So
comic.
do you have his comics in your museum?
Oh no, I've tried to. It's kind of expensive to get them here, and we're thinking if he would travel here, he could bring some with him. But no, we don't have them in the museum. Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, we are up on a break, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Hang in there. The Enchanted May Awakening Fair is being held May 30th and 31st, 2026 in Gravois Mills, Missouri at the Lake of the Ozarks. Join us at Dragonfly Hall for a magical weekend of vendors, community, and enchanting fun, awakening to spring renewal, blossoming energies, mindful connections, and pure seasonal magic. Come early on May 29 for the Blossom Feast and pre-shop. Visit dragonflyhall.com for tickets and more information. That's dragonflyhall.com. Patriox Oxygen Water addresses a condition called hypoxia, which is insufficient oxygen in the cells and tissues. The fact is that hypoxia triggers 90% of all chronic conditions, including circulation issues, low oxygen levels in the blood, and more. By drinking Patriox Oxygen Water, you can restore oxygen levels in the body, restore energy, reduce age spots, and renew stem cells. Now, as an Unex listener, you can get 10% off of Patriox Ultra High Oxygen Content Water at patriox.us/discount/UnexNews, or check the shop page at Unex Network for more information. And we're back. I'm Margie K. This is the Margie K Show, and I have Cowboy Jim Gray with me this evening from Geneseo, Kansas. We're talking about the festival coming up in July, but let's go back for a minute. I want to ask you, what has your interest in UFOs been? What sparked your interest, Jim?
Well, I had, of course, grown up around Doc Janzen's collection and was always intrigued by that. But really didn't have anything to push me forward in that direction until it was August of 1972. My fiance and I, we were married just a month later, were south of town when white light just lit up the entire inside of the car. And it's hard to explain the brilliance of it. But anyway, as I kind of regained my senses, I looked up through the windshield, and I, of course, had to lean forward. But I looked up, and I could see the light retract up into the sky. It didn't just disappear. It pulled up into the sky, but it was such a dark night, I couldn't see where it went. So I didn't see the craft, but that was enough to scare us. We headed for home, and we got home, and she lived right on Main Street on the north end of town, and we were driving in from the south and went up and pulled a U at her corner, and we sat there a little bit in front of her house talking about what had happened, and calm, quiet night. and then there was a dust devil that formed at the railroad tracks, which was about 4 blocks south of us. And I mean, it was an impressive dust devil. And you know how those things will wander across the fields.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't wander. This came straight down Main Street and blew right past us and blew right on straight north out of town. And that, after the other experience that we'd had, I just told her, "You're going to the house," and I headed home too. So that was it. That was my experience. Unexplained.
That is very strange.
Yeah.
Very, very strange indeed, especially on a calm night when if there's no wind. Where did the dust devil come from?
Right. It was being created, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by something.
Playing with me, I don't. That summer of '72 was the year that, and I didn't know it. I didn't pay attention. I guess I wasn't real news oriented in my younger days, and I had no idea that there were all kinds of sightings across the state of Kansas, especially out in western Kansas during that year of '72. So
That would be something for me to research now. Thank you very much. I need something else to do.
big year. There were a few. There was one calf mutilation here, and they were scattered around the state. I think they were that same year. And the one that was here, I talked to a fellow 6 months ago, and he kind of denied that it was a mutilation. Oh, it was just coyotes. But but they claimed that they were like surgical incisions on these, taking parts out of these animals. So I don't know what that was about. No one ever saw any evidence of footprints around the animals. There's nothing left behind to go on.
Right. That's typical. Have there been any recent UFO sightings in your area that you know of?
I hear of these kind of sightings where they'll see something in the sky that just darts off in a different direction than it should be going. That's kind of fairly common to see, but actual encounters, there haven't been anything like that.
Well, where you're located, there's very little light pollution. And if you just go a little bit out of town, the skies are dark and it's easy to see stars and anything else that might be there. So I would think a sky watch would be in order. So we'll have to talk about that. We'll have to talk about that. Now, you have something very, very strange there that one of your board members discovered, I believe, in 2022. Tell us that story.
Well, that was the same year that we had just decided at a museum board meeting that we would promote the first UFO day, the World UFO Day, on that upcoming Saturday, July 1st. And this was maybe in April or May. I forget. I guess I could go back and find it. But anyway, so it was about 2 days after we made that decision, and our secretary, she's kind of fastidious about keeping curbs clean, and our curbs had never been really cleaned. And so she had been out there working, cleaning the curbs, and I swung around from my place I don't live on my farm anymore. I drive to and from Geneseo, and I swung around and I saw that she was there, and I stopped and went in, and she says, "Jim, have you seen that strange symbol out there on the curb?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And just went out and looked at it, and I said, "Yeah, that's pretty strange. I don't know what it is." And I took some pictures, sent it to some friends. Everyone said, "Well, it looks like a compass." And so what you're looking at is looking at it from the yard, because the vector is pointing to the southwest. But originally, when we were first identifying it, we were looking at it from the street, so it kind of threw you off what you were looking at. But once it turned it around and looked like that, you can see that vector, if you blow it up large enough, is a little flying saucer. It's just, it actually gives me chills when I say that. It absolutely makes no sense. We call it the mysterious Roswell Compass. We found that the curb was poured the same year as the crash in Roswell, 1947, and that was before Doc's family lived there. They were still out on the farm, so it wasn't anything associated with him, and yet it's there, and it points to the southwest. I've been to Roswell, and I thought, well, I wonder where Roswell is on the map, and I checked out the map from Geneseo, and you can check it. From Geneseo to Roswell, New Mexico is exactly 500 miles. And there's nothing that intersects that line the whole distance. What's that? You know? No one
That is a mystery.
Yes.
And from 1947, the same year of the Roswell crash, you would presume that it occurred after the crash, that somebody knew about it. Then they went to that exact spot and drew that in some new cement. Now, what? How crazy is that?
Oh, I don't. Yeah. No, and no, we found out it was 47 was one of the farmers here had just graduated high school, and that was his summer job, putting in the curb. So,
well, the curb looks old. It does look old. That it's held up remarkably well for its age. I think they had better cement back then than they do now.
Could be. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Really, it's something that people can come see 24/7 because it's out on the street, and
it's worth a trip to go. Well, for the museum, because you've got things there that Doc Janzen collected in historic ufology that you don't see anywhere else. First of all, and I would love to spend an entire day there reviewing those documents, but then it's worth the trip to see that as well, that Roswell Compass, because it's so unique. And then you've got the fantastic Gort statue and Klaatu out front. You've really, really embraced this UFO subject in your little town. And I think that's great. I think this year we're probably going to have more people than in previous years. I really do. I have a feeling.
And we had about 6,000 last year. So.
Oh my goodness, 6,000.
I could say only a few hundred actually go in the museum. We have vendors on the grounds, 25 plus vendors will be there, and lots of interesting information about the whole culture. And so the grounds will just be crowded with people, but a lot of them just don't ever go in the museum. And then, of course, downtown is where the parade will be, and that maybe brings some that don't even go to the grounds. But
and plus, you've got the American Legion Beer Garden. That's a big attraction. Lots of people are always there, and you've got some things for the kids to do this year. What would that involve?
We started out having some kids' games, and always seem to have some communication problems between parents and kids and what things going on. But so we came up with just a bouncy house and a water slide, and the kids can have fun while the parents peruse the grounds, I guess. So
Okay.
yeah.
That sounds great. Now, this picture, is this
Uh,
new?
it's a couple years old now, 2 years old.
Welcome to Geneseo, UFO Capital of Kansas. That's a nice mural.
Yeah. And the gal who was in charge of painting, there were three of them doing the painting, but the one that was in charge was from out on the Kansas-Colorado border, and her grandfather, I believe, was an old cowboy. So she kind of got a kick out of me heading up a UFO museum, but so you can't tell it there. You'll have to come look at it. The flying saucer over in the corner, you can see a pair of cowboy boots. The guy's flying that riding that saucer off into
Oh,
outer limits or whatever.
okay. And it looks like there's a beam coming from a UFO above that.
Yeah, I found out that picture was taken for Kansas. Can't think of the magazine.
Travel magazine or something?
Center for something. I don't know. Can't remember.
Okay.
But so the guy got to playing with it because he knew what the subject was, and put the little tractor beam looking like coming down over the water tower. But what is really cool, that is very natural, is that now about sundown, just before sundown, the buzzards, or the vultures, as you may call them, but they will fly in and they'll roost around those railings up there. You just see them all lined up around them, and then they fly up to roost somewhere else during the night. But that's where they come in just to rest before they. And they have taken to doing that across the state of Kansas. The first ones I saw even do that was in Ellsworth, and then I had a son that played for Dodge City football, and we went out there for a game, and here's the buzzards sitting on their tower. So it's kind of a new thing for them.
Goodness. So let's tell people what to expect when they get there. Do you have any motels in town, bed and breakfast? Where do people stay? Can they bring an RV?
Closest motel would be in Lyons, and there's two there, the Celebration Center and the Lyons Inn. And then Ellsworth would be back to the north. There's one motel there. You could maybe if you were coming in from Lenzburg, you could get a motel there. Or actually, Salina is a pretty good place too, because they've just got a myriad selection of hotel rooms, and they're about 45 minutes from Geneseo. So, but
okay. Are there any RV parks nearby?
I've been trying to. You can go to Canopolis Lake, which is between here and Salina. It's about 17 miles away, something like that.
Okay.
And of course, there's a state and Corps of Engineers camp on their grounds. But what else did you ask?
And then what about restaurants and food?
We have one. Well, we'll have vendors. We couldn't do without some food vendors coming in, and there'll be a couple of food vendors at the beer garden too. And then the one place is what is known as the G Stop out on the highway, and they serve lunch and early dinner. They like to close early, so.
Okay. So a fun festival, very unusual, definitely worth the trip. And if you do hear of any more UFO sightings in your area, please let me know. And we will, MUFON is going to be represented there.
That's great.
So we're going to have 2 tables, and Kansas MUFON and then the Central Region MUFON will be represented. So if anybody has had a sighting, they can visit our tables while they're there, and we can discuss some of the, the more recent things that have been going on as far as UFO sightings in Kansas.
Speaking of recent things, one thing that has maybe become more recently known is that the idea of traveling with magnetic influence to move your ships around rather than, and here recently there was a scientist that was found dead who was researching that pretty heavily.
Yes.
Anyway, the thing is, clear back in Doc Janzen's day, they already knew that. They knew that these ships were powered by magnetic force, and if you can see in those drawings in our museum a magnetic pole going down through the center of the scout ship, and that what was used to guide that ship.
They actually knew a lot back then, and people were a little bit more open-minded in the 50s and 60s. And, as evidenced by all of these conventions that they used to have, and people coming forward and saying they were contactees and they'd been on the ships and traveled on the ships. Do you believe that that those stories are true, that these people did actually get on craft and travel?
I guess I don't know if 100%. Some of them really seem a little outlandish, but no, I do believe that they were. I sometimes wonder if they weren't, if the people, the aliens that they were coming in contact with weren't playing with them a little bit, because it seems like they almost went out of their way to make them look crazy. And yeah, but they're really sincere people. It's hard to say that they're lying.
They do seem sincere. Now, you played a clip of Buck Nelson speaking at a conference before. Are you planning on playing that again this year so people can hear it?
Yeah, I'm thinking we might try to put together something that would be a montage or whatever of several voices from that time period. Yeah, because there's so much about how they believed that's actually kind of foreign to us today. It's a little bit, we just don't live the way we did in 1958,
Right.
So.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Any last words for our audience about the town or about your festival?
Well, I'll tell you what, Geneseo is not that unique when it comes to the little towns all across western Kansas, all across the Great Plains, all the way to Canada. These little towns have just kind of dried up and blown away, and there's not much to give them life. And we just feel like we've found a key to giving life back to our little town, and we would certainly enjoy seeing everyone come out. The best thing about the UFO day is all the smiling faces. I can't get over the smiling face. It's just a down to earth, natural feeling that people have when they come there. So come out and come get back to nature, I guess. Get back to who we are. Yeah.
Lots of fun. I'm looking forward to it again. And hopefully there will not be any tornadoes like there was the last time I was there. Oh, that was an experience, let me tell you, trying to drive in the middle of a tornado to get to our Airbnb outside of town. So just put an order in for me, Jim. No tornadoes.
Okay, we kind of get used to them and like to go out chasing for them. I don't do that so much anymore, but I did when I was younger.
Yeah. Do you still have your horses?
Oh, yes.
And do you have cattle?
Cattle, goats, horses, and lots of cats.
Keeps you busy, huh?
Keeps me busy. Yeah.
Well, since you have cattle, have you ever had any mutilated cattle? I hate to say that word even, but
No, we haven't. And actually, we've, a lot of people, even coyote damage. A lot of people don't like coyotes. Well, I think in my whole lifetime, I've only seen one calf that I could verify was coyote, and the rest of them are like born, stillbirth or something like that. And then you come along and the coyote's got to it, and you think it's a coyote, and it's really not a coyote. So.
Okay.
But anyway,
right.
no, we try to get along with nature as well as we can. And I like to say that if you live close enough to the land, you're quiet, just like Doc Janzen, and you listen, that it'll speak to you, and it does. It does speak to you. So that's
the land and the sky.
The land and the sky, most definitely. The whole realm. You can't have one without the other. They go together, and they can teach you so much if you just are willing to listen.
This is off topic a bit, but have you had any reports of crop circles in that area?
No. There was a crop circle back in the 1960s over by Inman, Kansas, and that's it. I'm not much on crop circle history. I think there's been a few, maybe more towards northeast Kansas, but I've never heard of one anywhere around here. In fact, I kind of hope to find one, and especially right around UFO Day, that'd be great. But no, in fact, this year it'd be great because the wheat is short, not going to produce very well.
Whoops. Okay. Jim had some phone issues there.
Yeah, people calling me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to participating in the Kansas UFO Day Festival in June 27th this year.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, goodness. The telephone calls during the show. It's always fun. And it is a great festival. I will tell you, it's a small town. Do not expect big city stuff. Okay. Big city amenities. That's not their deal. But it is just a lot of fun. There's a lot going on. And 6,000 people that they've grown to. Goodness gracious. I haven't been there for 2 years. So they've grown a lot. And I imagine there's going to be more this year because of that. So try to make it out there. They have a Facebook page called Geneseo City Museum. If you go there, that will have all the information, and it's got Jim's phone number. In fact, I've got that right here. And this is also sponsored by the Kansas Tourism Department at travelks.com. So you can go there and get information, but you can actually call Jim Gray, and here's the number, 785-531-2058. 785-531-2058. And I hope to see you there. And that is it for me this evening, and I'll see you here again next week.